A spokesman from South Korea's defense ministry said about 40 Navy ships from both countries, including the nuclear-powered USS Ronald Reagan aircraft carrier, will participate in the exercises from October 16th to 20th. Previous joint military exercises have provoked the Democratic People's Republic of Korea to respond with a missile launch. And for the latest on that, let me bring in our correspondent Jack Barton. He's live for us in Seoul. Thanks for joining us, Jack. So drills like this between the U.S. and South Korea regularly angers Pyongyang. What considerations played into the timing of this round of naval drills?
Well, according to the United States and South Korea, the latest drills are routine. They were scheduled a long time ago, but they do seem more robust than some of the drills we've seen lately. They're certainly the most robust in the second half of this year, and very different from the last drills, which were all computer simulated. So there was no real world element. This will all be conducted out there in the real world, off the east coast and the west coast of South Korea. And as you mentioned, there'll be the U.S. Carrier Strike Group at the centerpiece of the U.S. efforts here with the Ronald Reagan aircraft carrier. It's got about 70 planes on board, but there's lots of battleships out there. We've heard, you mentioned 40, we've heard up to 70 here, South Korean vessels in total out there. And off the east coast, the world's largest nuclear submarine, the USS Michigan. We've been told there are U.S. Special Forces troops on board, and according to media reports here, they may be going to drill a decapitation strike against Kim Jong-un and his top officials. That certainly hasn't been confirmed by the U.S. government or South Korea. In response, angry words from Pyongyang and intelligence reports here saying mobile missile launches have been rolling out of warehouses over the missile depots over the past week, though still unclear whether there's going to be another test. But as you mentioned, there so often are some sort of demonstration or missile test by the DPRK during these types of drills.
Well, that war games are going on, Jack. Russian news agencies said politicians from the DPRK and South Korea wouldn't hold direct talks in Russia on Monday, despite being in attendance at the same event and Moscow's urging. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, there was a lot of hope, but not much optimism surrounding this meeting going on in St. Petersburg. It's a Congress of Parliaments, and at that meeting, there is the deputy head of the legislative branch in the DPRK and also the head of South Korea's parliament. And the speaker of Russia's upper house has been holding separate meetings with both men, and the idea, according to Russian lawmakers, was to bring them together. But what we've heard from Russian lawmakers is that the DPRK said preconditions would need to be met. We've heard the DPRK's preconditions in the past. It means a lifting of sanctions, an acceptance of the DPRK as a nuclear power, and a number of other issues that clearly aren't going to get off the ground with South Korean officials. Now, we heard from the Russians, South Korean officials were very keen for that face-to-face meeting. They don't have any preconditions. President Moon has been saying he wants to see talks start, and then it can lead to deeper talks just to see where they can go. So some disappointment there, but at least signs, has been taken here, a little bit of hopefulness that at least Russia is trying to take a very proactive role at the moment in trying to bring these two sides together. It didn't work this time, but who's to say in the future?
They certainly haven't given up the hope on diplomacy. Thanks so much, Jack. That's our Jack Barton live for us in Seoul.